3, 2, 1, blast off! Hello, my fellow chatterers, and any stowaways who have popped in because you're lost and you boarded the wrong ship, or if you are curious as to what the Cosmere Book Tag is. The Cosmere Book Tag is a brand new original tag created by Jessie from Jessie the Sleepy Koala, which of course she created the Cosmere tag because Jessie is also part of the 17th Shard, which is basically like a giant encyclopedia of all things Brandon Sanderson, and in particular Cosmere. They have podcasts, they have booktubey 17th Shardiness, and their website, the Coppermind. So the Cosmere, if you are not a fantasy reader or a Brandon Sanderson fan and have no idea what the Cosmere is, it is a universe created by Brandon Sanderson where some of his books, but not all of them, are set. So he's done different series on different planets, and we are starting to get links between the different books. There's always been some Easter eggs popping up that fans have enjoyed spotting over the years, but we are getting to that point in his long saga. So kind of like think the Marvel world, where we are getting a lot more links coming up. So the tag has been Jessie has created, has got lots of different, all the planets in the Cosmere, which I have in my tag of tea, all have a different question attached to them. So it's all based on the planets of Cosmere. And I am absolutely delighted to be on the maiden voyage of this tag. Thank you so much for tagging me, Jessie. I'm really excited to get into the tag and let you know my thoughts on what they were. So you don't have to have read Brandon Sanderson or be a fantasy reader to join in with this tag if you want to. The questions can relate to different books. I think there are some that do say the word magic in though, but you know, you can go with magical realism or whatever works for you. So let's drink this tea and get into the tags. But first, as always, I'm doing this on one shot with no editing. This is the third take. I don't want to do any more, so I'm hoping I don't screw this up. Cheers. Let's do this. Let's drink this tea. So the first tag, which doesn't want to come out the cup, is Roshar or Roshar. Roshar. I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce it. I think I say Roshar. This is the book that this is the planet that the Stormlight Archive is based on. And for this tag, we have to name a book with fantastical world building, because Roshar has got incredible world building, the history, the lore, the layout of the planet and its terrain. I am going to link Jessie and her video in the description box. Please do go and check out her video with the original tag, because she is going to give you much better explanations of how these planets link to these tags than I am going to give you. So definitely go and check out her video. Anyway, the books that I've got fantastical world building, I've decided that because it's Cosmere, I'm going to go for all fantasy books for these tags. And also I'm going to try and do a adult and a middle grade. So world building. I love this book. Shadow of What Was Lost. So yes, as I was saying, I really love this trilogy. This is the first book in the Lycanius trilogy by James Islington, or Islington, I'm not sure how you pronounce his name. I gave this 4.5 stars. The second two books I gave 5 stars because the plotting in this book is amazing. It's just phenomenal how it is woven together. It is masterful. So the reason I've gone for this one for world building is because I really love how well thought out the history of this world is, and how things that have happened and the politics of why laws were made in the past and how they are in the future. And there is a lot of, you can kind of understand both sides. So you start off by feeling empathy for certain characters where the law is not on their side, and then you hear more about the history of what happened, and then you kind of understand why these laws were put in place. So you understand more of it. It's not just a simple of these are the good guys, these are the bad guys. It's a lot more complex than that, and I really love that and appreciate that. There is also a really good, really interesting and different magic system in here, and different opinions about the different types of magic system in here and how the users have the power. There is also less savoury characters, shall we say, that are behind a war that we know of in the first book. We then find there are different sort of species as we kind of read more further on. So I really love just how well thought out this world is, and how decisions that were made at certain points affect the things that the characters now have to deal with. So I just really appreciate all of the world building and the history and lore and mythology that went into this book. And now, for very different reasons, I love the world building in Nevermore, The Trials of Morrigan Crow by Jessica Townsend. So this is the middle grade fantasy that I want to talk about. So what I love about Nevermore is the wonderful whimsicalness of this world. I just want to go there. I want to go there. I want to go to the hotel. I want to just experience the wonderful magical celebrations they have. It is so much fun. As you progress through the series, you get to see a bit more of a darker side to Nevermore. But I love Jessica Townsend's brain. I love all the things she came up with for this. I love how the characters are so wonderful and whimsical as well. And yeah, there are rules, and there are histories in the society, and I think the level of detail in this world is incredible. Okay, let's get another tag out the tea. So the next planet we have is Scadriel, or Scadriel. Again, I'm not sure how you pronounce it. I'm going to go with Scadriel. Scadriel is how I'm going to go. Apologies if you say the other way. So Scadriel is the planet that is most well known for, where the Mistborn series takes place on. So for this one, we need to talk about a book where it combines magic with technology. So on this planet, we have had Era 1 and Era 2. And in Era 2, we have got that sort of Victorian, turn of the century, Western feeling to it. So they have, so instead of having swords, they have pistols and guns, and they have those kind of weapons kind of amalgamated into the magic system. And as we go more and more into the story, they have other technologies that come to light as well. So again, I have a middle grade, and no, don't want to put you there. I want to put you there. So yes, I have both a middle grade and an adult for this one. So my adult for A Book with Magic and Technology is A Master of Djinn by P. Djeli Clark. So this book is set in 1920s, or did it start in I never remember the 1912. Yeah, it's always earlier than what I think it is. So this is set in 1912 in Cairo. But in this version of the world, something happened, and now Djinn is rife and living all over the city of Cairo and the world. So something had like ripped. So we've now got magic in our world. So it has a lot of steampunk vibes. There's a lot of contraptions and things that are made and happen in here. In particular, the boilerplate eunuchs, I think. They're kind of like AI. I'm really fascinated by them. We didn't get them in here as much as they wanted, but we did get them in the novella Tramcar. I can't remember the number, 015, I think. So in this fantasy series, it's kind of a mixture of like fantasy and kind of a bit of a police mystery. I love this series. I love the world. I love the character Fatma. I love some of the secondary characters that we get in here, and also in the two novellas before this as well. And I think you can see from the front, look at all the cogs and gears going on with this. So yes, this has got technology in it. I read it last year. I can't really remember more details, but I definitely recall there being more than just the boilerplate eunuchs. There was technology around that did other things. I can't recall what it was, but I just feel it fits very much that plot. And I had a fantastic time with this one, and I really hope P.J. Lee Clark comes out with more novels within this world. I really hope he has the stories to tell. I don't want him to force them out if they're not there, but I would definitely love to hang out more in this world. It's a lot of fun. So the middle grade technology one I have is Fergus Crane by Chris Riddell. I'm going to see if I can find some of his fabulous drawings. Well, here we go. That's a good example. So here we go. Lots more kind of cogwork engineerings going on here. So this is a story of Fergus Crane, who is attending a school. I can't remember the name of the school, but it feels piratey. It feels like the teachers may be up to no good. Fergus's mum is raising Fergus alone. We don't know what happened to his dad. But his mum, as well as working at a bakery, receives a box. And inside that box is a task that she's got to do. So it might be like making paper things or fixing things, or it's got some sort of craft-based task that she has to do and then put back in the box, and that will go back. That will go back again. Fergus Crane is really interested to see where these are coming from, and he sets out on an adventure. And as we can see here, we've got this wonderful horse that says a Faithful Voyager Trading Company. So the Faithful Voyager is the name of the company that makes all of these fantastic things. This was an adorable book. It was such a fun ride. The illustrations are gorgeous. I really loved the Chris Riddell and Paul Stewart. I'm so sorry, Paul Stewart, for not including you in this. This is a combined effort of Paul Stewart and Chris Riddell. Chris Riddell is the illustrator, but they crafted the story together and Paul Stewart wrote it. So yes, I really enjoyed the plot in these. These are very what I'd call like early middle grade, so they are also suitable for sort of like the 5 to 8s as well as the 9 to 12 age range too. So let's get another tag out. Again, no idea how to pronounce it, but this is Nalthis, which is the planet where the book Warbreaker is set on. So for this one, we have to name a book with a colourful cover. Because in Warbreaker, we are introduced to another unique magic system. This one involving colour. It's kind of powered by colour, and they use it to make inanimate things animate, for want of a better explanation. But yes, colour is used, so we need to think of a colourful book. So obviously, for this one, for the middle grade option, Rainbow Grey. You can't get more colourful than Lauren Ellen Anderson's Rainbow Grey. This fantastic middle grade, again on the younger age, I would say it can be enjoyed by. We have Rainbow Grey lives in the Weatherlands, and the Weatherlands give Earth, there they go, there's the Weatherlands, and they give Earth their weather, and they look after it, make sure it doesn't get out of control, gives them the different range of weather. So they've got this lovely kind of relationship with Earth, although I don't think Earth really understands what's going on. But we meet Ray Grey. And at the start of the book, Ray Grey doesn't have any weather magic at all. And that's completely fine. She wants to go and be an Earth explorer. But she soon discovers that actually she does have rainbow magic. And here are her two friends, Snowdon and Droplet. And it's a really fun adventure and a really delightful story that's so colourful. Yay! And then another colourful book is, again, I'm probably saying this wrong because I see this word written and I never hear it said. Scion? Blood Scion? I'm going with Blood Scion, although I want to say Psychon, but I don't think that's correct. But Blood Scion by Deborah Follet. And I just think this book is really beautiful. Look at all these fantastic colours in the flames and the skin of who I presume is the protagonist. We've got a lot of colour. This is a fairy loot edition with some lovely edges and some lovely swirly end pages here as well. I do not know anything about this book really. I've never heard of it before. I was very delighted to receive it and I'm really excited to read it. I think it is about a girl who has some magic inside her that is not thought well of, and they're worried that she might become a monster by having the magic, and then she decides to kind of go for it anyway because of stuff that happens. What a rubbish summary I just gave you there. I have no idea if that's true, but I don't want to know any more about it. I just want to read it knowing as little about it as possible. But the cover is beautiful and there is a lot of colour on it. So there we go, more colours. Right, let's get another tag from the tea. Which planet have we got now? We have got Cell. Thank you for being a very simple name that I can pronounce. So Cell is the last planet that major Cosmere books are written on. So this was the planet that Elantris and the novella The Emperor's Soul is set on. Elantris being Brandon Sanderson's first published book. The question that links to this one is name a debut novel. Where do I want to put Cell? I'm going to put Cell here. So, adult debut novel, The Conductors by Nicole Glover, which I have not yet read. But it is basically the Underground Railroad with magic. I read the first chapter for books that I wanted to take on the spa day with me. I was really intrigued, really excited, but I wasn't quite in the mood for getting into a big epic fantasy at the time. But I'm so excited to get to this one and cannot wait. Another debut, this time the middle grade, we have The House with Chicken Legs by Sophie Anderson. What an incredible book this is. It tells the story of Marinka, whose grandma is Baba Yaga. So she hangs out each night with the dead as they are guided to the land of the dead, and they have their last night on Earth. But Marinka really wants a friend. She really wants to go hang out with the living. She doesn't want this life, but it seems that she's destined to have it. And every day, well, not every day, but we don't know when, the house will suddenly get up on its chicken legs and walk to the new location. So she'll wake up and she'll be somewhere else. So she's no idea how long she has in these different places, which makes making a friend really hard. That is the premise of the story, but then you read it, it expands on the world and the magic system. It goes in places I was absolutely not expecting it to go. It's so heartfelt. It's got a real warm feeling of family and friendship and trying your best, but not always making the right choices. And it was just such a beautiful, beautiful book. I had to hug it after I finished reading it. So what an amazing debut from Sophie Anderson, and I cannot wait to read the rest of her books. Oh, more water, my voice is going. Okay. Next tag we have, again, another tricky one to pronounce. Threnody. We're going for Threnody. This is planet Threnody. I know nothing about this planet. Please watch Jessie's video, but name a spooky book or a book with a horror feel. I don't read horror, so we're going with as spooky as I go. Those will be the books that I will be naming. So this, I believe, is classed as YA, The Library of the Dead by T.L. Huchu. Again, another one that I've not read, but I'm really, really, really excited to get to. Sorry, my voice is still going. Okay. I was just sold on a girl who can speak to the dead, tries to help them, tries to help ghosts find out why they are haunting places, and then she discovers an occult library in Edinburgh. And I was like, that just sounds brilliant. I just want to read that book. So I've had it. I am waiting for more of an autumn time so I can get really cozy with it. But I'm so excited to get to this one and enjoy the spookiness. So this has the level of spooky that I'm fine with, but it's not a full-on horror. It's definitely a fantasy, but that's as spooky as I get, guys. So that's what we're going with here. The middle grade one I don't own, but I do really want to read it, and that is Small Spaces by Catherine Arden. Catherine Arden is best well known for the Winternight trilogy, which is a really popular adult fantasy and is a masterpiece. It's incredible. I recommend that one to everyone. So she is now working on like a set of middle grade kind of horror-ish stories. The first one being Small Spaces. And because it's Catherine Arden and I love her writing, I'm willing to give it, and it's middle grade, I'm definitely willing to give it a go. I feel I can cope with that level of horror at that point. We'll see whether or not I like it, but that's why I'm going for the middle grade option. Next tag, we have Yolen. So this is where the Cosmere kind of originated from. I'm not going to go into detail, please watch Jessie's video, but basically this is a planet that shattered and the shards fell to different things. So Yolen is that original planet. So with that in mind, we have to name a book that shattered you, which I have got perfect options for. So middle grade, I have Frostheart by Jamie Littler. So it shattered me in a different way. It shattered me in that I did not realise how emotionally connected I was going to get to these characters in this book. So Ash here is one of my book babies. He has a fantastic relationship with Tobu, and oh my goodness, I've forgotten her name. How awful of me. Name completely went my head. Luna. Luna and Tobu and Ash. So I did not realise how emotionally connected I was going to get to the wonderful found family that is on board Frostheart, which is this ship here. And in particular, Ash's story, that he is mistrusted amongst people because of his background and his ability as a song weaver. So song weavers sing. Singing is banned on this place because the Leviathan make music. They make these, I would imagine them like whale songs, but like more tuneful. So these haunting melodies will speak to Ash, but the Leviathan will attack everyone. They want to just attack everyone. They will attack you and like try and eat you. So the humans, when they see a Leviathan, they try and kill it. So they mistrust anyone that can song weave and any singing because of what it might do. Which is really hard for a small child to have to deal with. So yeah, that aspect of it broke me, and his journey to find out more about his parents, to try and find where he fits in these Frostlands, and to see if there is a place for him on board the Frostheart. And the story and journey kind of go on from there. This is the first in the trilogy, and I'm so attached to it. It's very emotional. I love it so much. So yes, it did shatter me. Adults. Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb. Robin Hobb is well known for fantasy readers as destroying you. Like, do not expect the characters in her books to have a really easy time of it. They have to go through stuff to get things done. Especially, no more so, than the protagonist of the first of the trilogies, which is the Farseer trilogy. We follow Fitz Farseer. It's a coming-of-age story. We follow him from the age of 6 up until the age of 15 in this book. And oh my goodness, does this boy have a hard life. This boy is like so in need of a friend, in need of like a parent or guardian. And because you see everything through Fitz's eyes, what you don't understand is those people are there. They are there for him. He just doesn't see them because all of his life, he's just... the book starts off with him being given back to this war garrison by his grandfather, saying, we've had him for 6 years. It's too many mouths to feed. You know, your prince dallied with my daughter. This was the result. You can take your turn now. So Fitz starts the story off by being abandoned by his maternal family, thrown onto his paternal family, and never really finds a place. Like, there's lots of different things that he is put to doing because they don't really know what to do with him. And he's just kind of pulled from like place to place. Like, there's like 3 different kind of points where he's like, you're going to do this, no, now you're going to do this. And he doesn't really fit in with any of them. And my heart just breaks for him so many times. And there are characters in here that I love, and I appreciate the love that they have for Fitz that Fitz can't see for himself. And then there's moments where they disappoint me and let me down. And I'm just like, why can you not explain to Fitz, like, why does no one hug in this book? I mean, things would be a lot easier if there was more hugging going on here. People need to hug more. People need to explain things and spell things out so that other characters get it. Anyway, I love this book so much. It is a coming of age story, like I've already said. It's a real slow burn. If you don't connect to Fitz, you're probably not going to enjoy the book so much. Even though we always talk about Hob being depressing, her stories are beautiful. Like, the writing is so detailed, the world is so immersive, and you love her characters. You get so emotionally connected to them. There are still moments of hope in here. There are still good things that happen. It's not all doom and gloom, but a lot of it, there's just so much of his childhood was so harsh, just emotionally harsh. Do check the trigger warnings for this book. I link Storygraph links to them all, and Storygraph has got excellent trigger warnings attached to each book, so please do check them out if you're thinking of picking this up. But yeah, this absolutely shattered me. This book destroyed me. The rest of the books destroyed me. But I think this one in particular, just because of how much he has to deal with and how much you just want to give him a hug. So Fitz I also adopted pretty much within like the first few pages. I'm like, I'm adopting you. You are a book baby of mine. Please come here so I can hug you. Yes, shattered. Absolutely shattered by Assassin Apprentice and Robin Hobb. Boom. Okay, I'm now feeling really sniffly from talking about all of that. So next planet is, whoa, brought another one out. We just want one. Is Vox? Vax. This next planet is Vax. Never heard of it. Studying the solar system maps, couldn't find it. Luckily, Jessie said, we do not know if this exists, but she believes it does. As a 17th shard person, there are many theories and studies that the planet Vax exists. So she's including it in this Cosmere tag. That's how convinced she is. So, for this one, we have to name a book that is not well known. Because this little planet is not well known. / does it even exist? So can we name books? So for the middle grade one, I don't have a copy. I am hoping to receive some copies soon. But I don't actually have one. And that is the first one in this trilogy is called Akatar Witch by Nendi. Sorry, I should have read this before I put it down. Nendi Okorufor, and it's called the Nisibi Scripts trilogy or series. I don't know if it's definitely a trilogy. The third book came out this year. So there's Akatar Witch, Akatar Warrior, and Akatar Woman, which has just come out. I was not aware of this series for such a long time, and I think one of the main reasons is because it's published in the UK and I think also in Nigeria as What Sunny Saw in the Flames. And I think the reason behind that is because the word Akata, I'm calling it Akatar. Akata. Again, this is a problem. I see things written down. I talk them in my head. I don't actually know how to pronounce them. Do correct me if I'm wrong about any of this, but I believe Akata is a derogatory term for someone who is Nigerian American or African American. And the protagonist, Sunny, is albino. She was brought up in America and returns to Nigeria. And there's a lot of prejudice against her for those things. And so she's kind of finding her feet in the normal world, and then they realise that there are strains of magic within her, and she's open to this whole new magical world as well. The book is amazing. I had a fantastic time with this series. I don't know if the next ones are kind of a bit older. This one was a middle grade and it was fine, but I have a feeling the other ones go slightly more YA middle grade, but I could be completely wrong. Anyway, this was published as What Sunny Saw in the Flames, so I saw it in the library, thought it sounded really cool, borrowed What Sunny Saw in the Flames, and was unsure whether or not there were sequels to it, so I couldn't find anything. And because for the rest of the world, it's like being published as Akata Witch and Akata Warrior. So that was interesting. But yeah, it's there's a magical school, there's magical teaching. It's really, really cool. I absolutely loved it. I'm so pleased to, it was on my list back before I was buying books, that I got it out of the library, that I then wanted to own it at some point, but then couldn't find it. But yes, now I'm so excited to get hold of the whole trilogy and read them, so do check it out. Naledi Okorafu is best known for the Binti YA sci-fi series, but this middle grade series, for one, from the first book, was brilliant. So I love the first book. I don't know what the rest is like, but yes, it's not very well known, and it definitely should be more well known. The adult one I'm going for is this wonderful Sorcerer Royale duology. So that is Sorcerer, To the Crown, and The True Queen. These I don't feel are as well known as other books. They are written by Zen Cho. They are this was her debut novel. I love these two. I love them so much. I really love the main character in this one, Prunella. I also really enjoy Luna from this one, but Prunella is my girl. She is incredible. It is, for me, this is like Jane Austen, but with fairyland, some scary fae, some fun fae, magicians, and an awareness of racism and classism as well. So stuff like that is called out, which I find highly delightful. And the language is very Regency. So you've got all those witticisms. If you read Jane Austen and enjoy that language, if you've read Georgette Heyer, I feel you'll really like this. If you are not familiar with those books, you might find the language quite tricky to read, but I adore it. So if any of those things sound like it ticks your boxes, highly recommend this duology. Okay, I think we've just got 4 more planets to go. We're getting there. So the next planet in the T is Taldain. Now, Taldain, I believe, is the planet where the White Sands graphic novels are set. I've not read this series. I don't feel like I'm going to read this series. It's not calling to me. But it's another planet in the Cosmere. I believe there is night side and day side. So the prompt for this one is name a book with 2 halves. So Jessie says this could be 2 POVs, 2 time periods, 2 prominent places, etc., etc. As long as it's got something that's got 2 in it. Where am I putting Taldain? Put Taldain there. So, middle grade fantasy, I have gone for The Wizards of Once by Cressida Cowell. Because this has got 2 places. Looking for the map, here we go. So here we have the Warrior Empire, and then we have Warrior Empire, and then we have the Wizard Woods. And the warriors and the wizards don't get on with each other. And again, this is a book series that I really, really want to read, but haven't yet got around to reading. I love Cressida Cowell's How to Train Your Dragon series. I can't wait to get stuck into this series as well and find out more about the warriors and the wizards and why they don't get on. So my adult / YA option, this one is a YA. This is Legendborn by Tracy Dion. So the reason I've gone for this one is there's 2 twos in this one for me. So this is Bree, who gets to go early to university on some sort of like clever scholarship thing. She's grieving. She's recently lost her mum. She's going through a lot of stuff. So she's trying to negotiate going to college as a younger person, and trying to get on with her life amid these tragedies that have happened. But she stumbles quite early on into the world of magic that is linked to the Arthurian legends. So she sees things that she shouldn't see and gets involved in this. And then they realise she has got magical strains within her as well. So then Bree's not only having to negotiate surviving on a day-to-day basis, but also surviving on the magical side as well and working out the magical side. So uni's new for her in the normal side, but also the magical world is also new for her. But saying that, we also have 2 different magic systems as we get further into the book. And we also have, so Bree is one of the only black students at this university. It's very much in a, I believe it's in a very white elitist place. So a lot of attention is drawn to the fact that she looks different to other people, and she experiences some full-out racism, some casual racism, which is just as damaging as regular racism. So the university recognises the work and buildings and things that have been done by figures that write history and put their names forward in history and have the power, i.e. white people. But also there's the lives that we aren't told and the history we aren't told and the work that we're not told about that's just brushed under the carpet by the Black community that have been given a much lower status and stake in this world. So there's an awareness of all that going on, as well as the magic. So there's a lot going on in this book. I really enjoyed it. I know there's some people that weren't sold in it as much, but I'm so excited to see the next book come out and see where this story goes. I think it's a brilliant YA fantasy. I'd say it's probably my favourite YA fantasy of all the YA fantasy that I've read. Okay, what's next in the tag with T? We have First of the Sun. I don't know if you can see that. And again, don't know a lot about this one, but apparently there is a small short story or novella that's got birds in it. So the link for this book is Books with Animals in it. So for this one, I have gone with Cornelia Funke's Dragon Rider. I have not read this recently at all. I read it as a child/teenager. I remember very little about it, apart from I enjoyed the dragon called Firedrake. There is a human called Ben. There is a brownie called Sorrel. And I think as well they meet various different rats as well, one of which is called Gilbert Greytail. So we have a rat and a dragon. Dragon's obviously an animal, creature, being, thing, so that totally counts. But if not, we've got the rat. So there we go. I cannot tell you a lot about this. I believe they're trying to get to some mountains, but I can't remember why. I can't remember how they all end up together. But I enjoyed it. I remember finding it a really fun, light-hearted, magical ride with a dragon. The adult book that has animals, Bear and the Nightingale. There is a lot of horse action in this book, more so in kind of the books that come after. This is the first book in the Winternight trilogy by Catherine Arden. Again, it's a coming of age story of Vassia. This could also work for the Two Planet one as well, because there's like the two there's the two religions. There's then the natural wild country world versus the political Moscow world. Anyway, this is about animal companions. So what I really love about this one is Vassia's relationship with horses. She does a lot of riding, and the Chiroti that looks after the stable teaches her how to understand and talk to horses. This is such a fantastic series. I could talk about this all day. I think I've spoken enough on this video as it is, but it's amazing and I highly recommend. I definitely talk about it a lot more in my series video that I've done recently. So if you want to know more about it, have a look at that. And obviously have a look down at the Storygraph link. But it is a very it's a well-known popular series, at least from the Colourful book tube that I'm in. Bear and the Nightingale, fantastic, has horses. Okay, 2 more planets to pull out of the tea, and it is Braise. So Braise is connected to Roshar, and kind of is connected to the ongoing war that has been going on Roshar throughout history, called The Desolations. So name a book that has war. So for this one, I've gone for Malice by John Gwynne. This is the first in the Faithful and the Fallen quartet, and it basically sets up a really epic battle for the world. I think is the best way of summing this up. I love this series. Malice is the weakest of the quartet, but I still had an amazing time reading Malice and getting to know these characters and seeing them at the start of their journey and seeing all the pieces on the chessboard being moved into place. And then towards the end of the book, we basically, it's like someone started go and they're all moving, and then we get into Valor and everyone's moving, and it does not stop until we get to Wrath. And it's an amazing ride. It's a wonderful ride. And war is a massive theme in this book. There are lots of battles in here. John Gwynne is brilliant. He holds your hand. He guides you through them. You know exactly what's happening. It's all very exciting. It's all very different. Highly recommend this epic adult fantasy series by John Gwynne. Middle grade war. I've gone for Percy Jackson. And this particular one is Percy Jackson and the Olympians, which is the 5th and final book in the 5-book series Percy Jackson, Percy Jackson and the Olympians. I just get them confused as to which series is which. But basically, this is like the climax. This is the final of the series where the Greek gods are someone wants to take them down. And so another force within mythology is ready to topple the Greek gods off their leadership-y throne. And as always, the Greek gods are helped by demigods. But this is not history. This is modern day New York, where everyone is living. We have kids that wake up and realize actually the Greek gods are real, or they don't wake up and realize it's a lot more involved than that. And monsters are real, and they've got to help save humankind from these, because although the Greek gods have their faults, and believe me, they have their faults, the alternative is a lot worse. I really enjoy this series. I think it's a really fun ride. I did read it. I thought I read it as a teenager, but actually checking, I was 19 when the first book came out. So towards the end of my teen years, but I still had an amazing time with it. I thought it was so much fun. I enjoyed the twist of the modern and the mythological, and how it kind of gave new ideas to the stories. And I really enjoyed the second series of this as well. But yeah, this is the one where the war kind of comes to a head. So they've been back and forth for a bit, and now it's going down. It's going down, and it's getting finished in this book. One more planet in the tea. The last planet is Ashyn. No, I don't know how you say this one. We're going with Ashyn. And I don't know the relevance of this, and I haven't looked into it because I'm worried that it might have spoilers for Rhythm of War, which I have not yet read. But I could be totally wrong, only because I know it lives over here near Roshar. That's all. But this is a new book about broken people. So this could be broken in spirit, broken socially, broken politically, broken physically, etc., etc. So the middle grade broken, oh, you can't really see it, there you go. The middle grade broken that I have gone for is Outcast by Michelle Paver. This is the 4th book in the Chronicles of Ancient Darkness, the first book being Wolf Brother. And this, I would say, you could class as magical realism, or you could class as historical fantasy. So it's all set in like really, really ancient days when people clumped together in tribes and lived amongst nature. They weren't trying to cut nature down to make way for them. They respected the forest, they respected the land, and they had a much more give and take relationship with it. Their religion of demons and spirits and the world spirit is written as real. So that's where the fantastical element comes in. So this is the 4th book. We originally follow Torak, who is an orphan. He was raised by wolves. He was raised by wolves in a wolf den, and then his father came. But at the beginning of the book, he loses his father again, and then he's surviving. He falls in with other clans, and then he realizes there is more to his parents' death than he originally thought. And that leads him onto a series of adventure. In the 3rd book, we kind of find out more of the master plan by what's going on in this world. And then this is the 1st book where all of that is being dealt with. But unfortunately, not all the clans, there's lots of clan meets, and not all the clans agree with each other about the best way to go about things. And they are distrustful of Torak. and that really kind of comes to a head in this one. So Torak is not treated well by some of the other clans, so he gets quite broken in this one. This is his lowest point, and it's quite sad, but it gets better. And I think this is one of my favourite ones from the series. I really loved it. I'm really looking forward to rereading again at some point. And then the adult/YA entry in Broken People is The Final Empire by Brandon Sanderson. We're going to finish on a Sanderson. We're going to finish on a Cosmere. This takes place here on Scadriel. So the reason I've gone for this one is because at the beginning of the book, with the epic line, "Ash fell from the sky," we are introduced to the Scar. Scar are basically very downtrodden plebs. They're not completely slaves, but they are practically slaves. They have no rights, they have no money, everything is downbeaten. They are at the mercy of the Lord Ruler, and the Lord Ruler's people he's put in power above them. There doesn't seem to be any way out of this, and it could be a lot worse for them if the Steel Inquisitors get you. You just don't want to know about what happens if you get got by Steel Inquisitors, or you could be made to work in the mines. So yes, they are very broken people. They are very broken people. They need a hero. Woo! And I'm not going to go into any further about what happens in this book. I really enjoy this series. You have a fantastic magic system. You very much have this feeling of fighting back. There's a revolution. You want this to happen. You are keen to see the bad guys toppled. Steel Inquisitors freak me out. I find them highly terrifying. I really love the characters in this book. I love the feelings it gave me. I had a great time with it. This is the first fantasy book that I had read in a really long time. So it absolutely blew my brain when I first read it. Could not get over how unique this magic system is, where they ingest metal to give themselves extra powers. But yes, the Scar are very broken and need help. So someone needs to look after the Scar, protect the Scar, because the aristocrats are being shit to them, really. Not very nice. So yeah, Scar are broken in this one. And there we have it. I have drunk all of this tea. Amazing! We've done the tag. That only leaves one final question. So I'm going to tag quite a few people just because this tag is quite new and I'd love to get it out there, give it a big push, get it more out there and see its journey. So firstly, if you see this and you want to do it, do it. It's a lot of fun. You don't need to make a solar system. I just did that because I really wanted to. But yeah, if you've got different books that you can add to other things, please consider yourself tagged. And now I'm going to do a bit of name shout outs just because I love doing name shout outs. So I am going to tag firstly some people that are not necessarily fantasy readers. They're a lot more eclectic. So I'm going to tag MJ from Reading This Life. I also want to tag Grape Jelly Library. Like I said, you don't need to know these books. Please just tag. I'd love to see you read such a different range of books to me. I would love to see which ones you come up with for this. It'll be lots of fun. And some people who are starting to get through the Stormlight. Literally, from the channel LiterallyLo, I'm going to tag Lo. Because I want you to read Words of Radiance. You've already mentioned you need to be reading Words of Radiance. So hopefully thinking about the Cosmere Book Tag will help keep that priority ticking along for you. So I'd love to see your tag as well. I want to tag Shelly from Percy Reads Everything. I want to tag Nathan from the Bookish Gnome. I've recently discovered their channels. They are fantasy readers. So I would really love to see what they do with this. I'm going to do some shout outs for some bigger channels as well that may or may not know that I've tagged them, but let's put it out there anyway. So I'm going to tag Olivia from Olivia's Catastrophe. I would love to see her answer some of this. She's a really eclectic reader and I followed her channel for a long time. I would like to tag Abby from Abby Salter, because again, I really want her to read Oathbringer, and hopefully this would encourage her to do that. I also want to tag Sophia from Sophia's Thoughts, and Joana from, oh my goodness, Joana, I'm so sorry, I've forgotten your channel name. I didn't write this bit down. This is really stupid of me. It's something, Joana Stormblessed. Joanna, I was like, it's Cosmere related. I need to know this one. But yes, they are both big Sanderson and Cosmere fans, so I would love to see them do this one. Also, Greg from the channel Gregory Lepert, also a massive Sanderson fan, would love to see him do this one too. So there we go, there's a lot of names, there's some channels for you to check out. And all that names to be said is happy reading, everyone.